Good morning, and welcome to today's webinar on building a regional coalition for reducing waste in the food manufacturing industry. My name is Rich Joyce, and I'll be your host today. Today, we'll hear from speakers in the government, nonprofit, manufacturing, and food recycling companies. Together, they comprise a coalition to upcycle food waste. As part two of the food waste series, we're offering a tour of unique snacks in Reading, Pennsylvania to see the recommendations in action on October 31st from 2 to 3:30 p.m. See our website for registration information. There are currently 2 seats remaining. I have a few housekeeping items to cover before we get started. All attendees are automatically muted with your cameras turned off. If you have any technical difficulties with accessing or hearing the presentation, use the chat pad and we'll try to correct them promptly. You can submit questions at any time during this 80 to 90-minute presentation using the Q&A button. However, we will wait until the Q&A period at the end of the webinar to answer questions. This will allow us to move efficiently through the material. If you have any questions after the webinar is over, please email them to pentap@psu.edu. This webinar is being recorded and will be uploaded onto the PennTAP website. You will receive a follow-up email notifying you when the recording is available, along with a PDF of the presentation. We're very excited to have 6 wonderful guest presenters for today's webinar. Our first speaker will be Bethany Ayers-Fisher. Bethany is the City of Reading Sustainability Manager. She is leading the city's efforts to transition to 100% renewable energy community-wide by 2050. Reducing the landfill waste and other pollution sources and adapting to the changing climate, Bethany is a 2019 and 2022 graduate of Alvernia University and volunteers with Penn State Extension's Master Watershed Stewards. Our second speaker is Deborah Mest. Deborah started her career at Helping Harvest Fresh Food Bank as agency and volunteer service manager. In her position, Deborah interacted with a large variety of people, including local and state and federal politicians, community agencies, and most importantly, people in need. Deborah was inspired to leave the corporate world more than 19 years ago because of her passion to help others. In 2019, Deborah moved to the operations in the food bank, overseeing all warehouse operations as well as taking on the job of sourcing food. This was a whole new world, and day by day, she succeeded in creating efficiencies in the warehouse. Today, she serves as Chief Operations Officer. Our third speaker is Matt Alessandroni. As leader of production, quality, and maintenance, and warehouse operations, Matt is responsible for manufacturing the best pretzels in the world. Working as part of this team, Matt enjoys helping people learn, grow, and develop in their careers. He has 35 years experience in the snack food industry, working with both the equipment and food processing sectors. Our fourth speaker is Jason Schmitz. Jason is the president and CEO of Amplisource. He has 25 years experience in executive leadership with strong focus on operations management. He focuses on successful growth-oriented policies and turnaround projects in privately owned and publicly owned and private equity environments. Our fifth speaker today will be Aubrey Fornwalt. Aubrey is the owner of Full Circle Bioconversion, a food recycling service located in Williamsport, Pennsylvania. This is the first of its kind operation in Pennsylvania, utilizing black soldier fly larvae to diminish food scraps and waste food to generate additional soil amendments as well as insect protein for poultry and fish. The bioconversion process is another tool in the arsenal of feeding our crops, our livestock, and ultimately ourselves. Our final speaker is Krista Schneider. Krista is a PennTAP technical advisor serving the Northeast Pennsylvania region, working from the Penn State Hazleton campus. She connects small business, industries, and organizations in the region with the resources of the university in order to advance their innovation and sustainability goals. She also provides direct assistance in the form of energy and operational assessments, grant application support, and special projects consulting. And my name is Rich Joyce, and I'm the Southeastern Pennsylvania Technical Advisor with PennTAP. After 23 years of working in operations management in the manufacturing of building industry products, I joined the PennTAP team and now enjoy working with small to mid-sized companies to reduce their energy consumption and connect Penn State students, faculty, and university facilities. Our agenda for today, I will first discuss PennTAP services, and then our presenters will share information about their programs. And finally, we will end with a Q&A session. PennTAP, or the Pennsylvania Technical Assistance Program at Penn State, has been there for almost 60 years. Because we are a grant-funded organization, our services have changed throughout the years, but our mission has been the same. Our mission is to provide Pennsylvania companies with technical assistance and access to Penn State's talented faculty and students in order to solve business challenges. Simultaneously, PennTAP provides Penn State faculty and students with opportunities to broaden their impact, expertise, and experiences through engaged applications. PennTAP has a diverse staff with backgrounds in chemical engineering, electrical engineering, environmental science, manufacturing, entrepreneurship, and community and economic development. Our staff includes 3 certified energy managers, a certified water efficiency professional, a professional geologist, a lead green associate, and 3 Six Sigma green belts. Our first pillar of service is energy and environmental work. Our focus on pollution prevention and energy efficiency projects, we also have the opportunity to take projects to the next level with economy, energy, and environmental assessments and energy management systems. The most common energy service is the P2E2, which refers to our pollution prevention and energy efficiency assessments. These assessments are offered at no cost to our Pennsylvania small and mid-sized manufacturers. In this work, PennTAP will complete an on-site assessment. We evaluate the facility's utility consumption, which includes learning about the facility's processes, equipment, and operations. We then analyze the data and provide a report that can assist with planning future building and equipment upgrades. If a company has a particular upgrade in mind, we may be able to assist with grant applications that can reduce the payback on energy efficiency improvement projects. Again, these assessments are typically provided at no cost to businesses. An example of our work includes helping a small Pennsylvania food processing facility save $208,000 per year by reducing energy consumption. You can see more of our stories on our website, penntap.psu.edu. The second pillar of service is innovation. Through engagement with faculty, students, and facilities, we can help Pennsylvania businesses develop new products and save time with process improvements. Technology assessments and entrepreneurial assistance is the foundation of our innovation services. We're very proud of our 2023 impact as reported by our clients. Our clients reported $8.4 million in economic benefits and 26 jobs either created or saved. We educated over 1,000 individuals and engaged more than 220 students. We're also proud that 47% of our client cases were in environmental justice areas. Our first speaker today is Bethany Ayers Fisher, the Sustainability Manager in Reading, Pennsylvania. Thank you, Bethany.
Thank you for inviting me, Rich. Hi, everybody. My name is Bethany Ayers Fisher. I'm the Sustainability Manager for the City of Reading. I sit in the Public Works Department, and in that role, I help steward our publicly held infrastructure and natural resources. I also do a lot of strategic planning for the city, especially related to our climate action plan and our energy resource management. Next slide, please. I'm a huge fan of taking advantage of the technical assistance resources that are available to us as a municipality. While we don't get to use PennTAP resources, there are resources available to us similarly. And one of those things that we do participate in is the LCAP program offered through DEP. And in that, we have done several greenhouse gas emissions surveys, and started to develop our strategic plan to move forward to adapt and mitigate our climate pollution, as well as becoming a more resilient community. We have the Sustainable Six, which are our 6 buckets of programs. So energy efficiency and greenhouse gas reduction, waste management, water management, mobility, public health and quality of life, and community and economic development. And using and developing projects, programs, and policies that support a sustainable future. And using the what I call the 4 Ps, but it is what is our purpose? And then is it protective of the planet, our prosperity, and our people in our community? Next slide. Back in 2019, the City of Reading City Council passed the Reading for 100 resolution, which is a policy statement setting us on some goals to set us on the journey of a just energy transition off of fossil fuels. Our first goal date is 2030, which is 5.5 years away, of achieving 100% renewable energy for municipal-owned property or electricity. Sorry, for municipal-owned properties by 2030. We are well on our way of meeting this goal. We are currently meeting our fossil fuel free through energy procurement. And we just signed our first Guaranteed Energy Savings Act contract with Schneider Electric, which is our ESCO. And we are going to be installing 1.8 megawatts of solar on two city-owned properties, the Public Works Administration campus and City Hall next year. And that will further add 10% of our energy needs as a on-site renewable production. Other goals that are related to everybody else is getting 100% renewable electricity for getting this available citywide by 2035. We are going to need some help from legislating support, converting all of our buildings and our transportation fleet to 100% renewable energy by 2040. This presents a few more challenges, especially since not all of our fleet can be converted to EV. And then the big long-term goals, which is realistically 26 years away, achieving a zero waste status by 2050, and then achieving 100% citywide renewable energy for all sectors by 2050. Next slide. We are the purpose and general principles in the Climate Action Plan, and it's just a framework to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions, adapt to the changing climate, becoming a more resilient community for all sectors. And we are really looking to center this in equitable actions and in conversation with all of our stakeholders, whether they're residents, business owners, and making sure that we can identify and maximize those co-benefits and take actions that protect the community and the environment. And really, one of the things that we're undergoing right now is a comprehensive review of current codes, ordinance, programs, policies, and practices to make sure that they're in alignment and so that we can make it as smooth of a transition as possible. Next slide. Our current energy priorities obviously are to transition off of fossil fuels for electricity and our light duty fleet by 2030. We're looking to increase energy efficiency in our buildings, and that we are undertaking our first very large investment to do so. We are looking to install EV charging stations at public spaces. We currently have a what's called a CFI grant application out with the federal government to help us start that process. Another high priority is to make sure that affordable clean energy for all community members is available and possible. And then one of our favorite things to do is to receive and provide technical and financial assistance for project planning and implementation. Making sure that people know what rebates, tax credits, and financial tools are available to them, and as well as taking advantage of them for ourselves. Next slide. Another high priority that is relevant to this group is our waste priorities. Zero waste is basically zero landfill waste in Berks County. We currently have 4 active landfills. And the question is, where are we going to put the next one? Landfills take about 600 acres. And the longer we can make the current ones last, the better off we all are. So how can we divert waste from the landfills? Of course, enforcing litter and dumping rules, making sure that we're supporting extended producer responsibility laws and programs. These things are like battery buybacks, motor oil buybacks, um, electronics recycling, tire recycling. Those programs do work really well. And the city does participate in all of the current EPR programs. And then one of the things that is in the works at the moment, where we are looking at how can we work with our businesses to help reduce single-use plastic, and including a ban on, or a possible ban on, plastic bags, styrofoam takeout containers, commonly littered items that are not recyclable. And then next slide. One of my favorite things to do is to get us extra supports for our community. And I'm very excited to announce that the Green Building Alliance received a grant from the First Energy Foundation to put boots on the ground down here in Berks County to help us with our energy efficiency and management of our larger building operations. So this will be available, we'll be launching early in 2025. And this works similarly to a Chamber of Commerce, but will provide technical assistance not only to the city for our buildings, but potentially school districts, businesses, and multi-use family units, and nonprofit organizations. The city has been an active participant in the C2C program with the Department of Energy. And we have worked with NREL, which is the National Renewable Energy Laboratory, for several programs that they have offered. If you are interested in an NREL project, first go check them out. But I am happy to be a co-applicant for that technical assistance if it does require municipality participation. The Sustainable Energy Fund manages the county's CPACE program. CPACE is a financial tool that allows you to spread out the construction loan over 20 years. And then if you would decide to sell the building, the loan and the materials that were used for the construction loan stay with the building, and it's managed through an assessment with the county tax office. And the types of things that you can finance through CPACE are energy and water efficiency projects, among some others. Pennsylvania Department of Community and Economic Development and the DEP Energy Office offers lots of programs and free technical assistance and grant opportunities for our small and medium manufacturers. I'm happy to write letter of support. I'm happy to help you make those connections. And then, of course, our Greater Reading Chamber Alliance does offer technical assistance and learning opportunities for chamber members and and people who are thinking about becoming chamber members. And then, of course, we are in a First Energy district, but PPL also offers similar programs through the Act 129 programs. And many of these are everything from energy audits to rebates that are available to you. And just for example, the rebates that the city is going to be receiving on our energy efficiency projects is about $300,000. It is well worth going through the process and filling out the paperwork. Next slide. And then this is my contact information. If you have an idea or you're not sure where to start, I am a great first resource to help make those connections for you. Even if you're not technically in the city of Reading, but if you're employing city of Reading residents, I'm happy to help you out. Not every municipality has a sustainability manager, so I am happy to help out anybody down here in Berks. With that, I hope to see some questions later on in the slide deck.
Thank you, Bethany. I'd now like to take the time to introduce Deborah Mess from Helping Harvest Food Bank. Welcome, Deborah.
Hi there, and thank you for allowing me to be part of this presentation. Do you want to start with the next slide? So everybody may wonder, how did the food bank start? And way back in 1983, some of our religious leaders saw that there was a need for food for people, low-income people or homeless people. So they founded what was called at that time the Greater Berks Food Bank. And that first year, they distributed about 500,000 pounds of food. We had 12 member agencies. Well, over the years, the need for food increased drastically. The food bank moved to a larger facility, and they were in Muhlenberg Township, and things just skyrocketed. They grew to over 100 member agencies. We were giving out over 1 million pounds of food. And we thought, okay, we need to be able to do this better. What else can we do? So in 2004, the food bank launched what is called the Weekender Backpack Program. We had just 2 locations. The purpose of that program is to feed children over the weekends when they're not getting their school breakfast or their school lunch. Today, we are now serving at almost every elementary school in Berks and Schuylkill County. We're sending out over 4,000 bags of shelf-stable, kid-friendly items, and they're given out every Friday. So these children have something nutritious to eat over the weekend. What we found then was, okay, we're ramping up, we're giving out more food, we needed more room. So in 2014, we moved to Sinking Spring to a large facility, and we changed our name in 2019 to Helping Harvest Fresh Food Bank, because we actually serve Berks and Schuylkill counties. The name Greater Berks Food Bank obviously made people think that we only gave food to people in Berks. So move forward 2024. After the pandemic, when things went haywire during the pandemic, we saw a huge increase in need. Now the pandemic ended, but the need did not. Today, we are giving out almost 10 million pounds of food a year, and everything has skyrocketed. Next slide, please. So you may wonder, okay, that's a lot of food to send out. Where does it all come from? We have a few sources. The Emergency Food Assistance Program, that's commonly known as PennTAP. That's a federal program that provides us with just staple items. And the USDA decides what they're going to give us. We don't have any choices. It doesn't cost us anything, but they pretty much say, okay, here's what you can have, and here's how many you can have. So that's a helpful program, but we don't have any choices there. The second one is the state food program. Again, that's at the state level. And that allows us to get funding and we can go purchase the food. However, that program has very strict guidelines, and we have a list of these are the items that you're allowed to purchase. So yes, we can purchase peanut butter, but no, we can't purchase jelly to go with that. So we get money for that, but again, very strict guidelines. The next one is the PASS program, or Pennsylvania Agricultural Surplus System. That provides funding to purchase products that are grown and or raised and manufactured in PA. And that we get a decent amount of funding, and it seems to increase every year because this program in particular helps out the farmers as well. So what happens is a farmer that maybe grows apples, he can sell his nice, beautiful apples to a grocery store for top price. But he also has apples that, okay, maybe they're not the right size, they've been dented, but he can sell those to us at the food bank for a reduced price. So it saves us money, and it also helps out the farmer, who then isn't just throwing away those products that are kind of not good enough to sell stores. And then lastly, we have donations coming in from everywhere. We go to places like the Wegmans Distribution Center, the Walmart Distribution Center, Dollar General. We're a member of Feeding America, so they are the ones that talk with the large donors that are nationwide, like Nabisco, Kraft, Nestle, Tyson. And we do bring in a lot of food from those places. Next slide, please. So now the food comes in our warehouse. Where does it go? We have over 350 distribution locations in Berks and Schuylkill counties. We do pantries where families can go and pick up groceries, staple items, fresh produce, frozen meats, and they take it home and prepare it. Soup kitchens, our neighbors can go and receive a meal. We have some soup kitchens that are cooking a lunch every day. Homeless shelters, addiction treatment centers, they all get food from us. We also participate in the PA Senior Box Program, and we have an allocation of 2,258 senior boxes of food each month that go to senior high rises all over the 2 counties. We also do the weekender that I had previously explained. We just, probably 3 months ago, started a maternal health program. And this program provides nutritious foods to pregnant mothers because we feel that it is very important for children and newborns, even before they're born, to get nutritious food, because these are during their brain development years, and that is extremely important for babies, for toddlers as they grow. We also have mobile markets. We provide fresh and frozen products. We have 23 locations every month, and we set up in a parking lot or at a, well, we actually set up like at the Reading Airport. And people come, we put the food directly into their cars. That grew from what was 7 locations about 6 years ago to now 23 locations. So that kind of gives you an idea of how the need has grown. Next slide, please. And the very exciting thing we have happening is in approximately mid-March of 2025, we are opening a community kitchen. It is located in downtown Reading. It is what was called the Goggle Works 2 building. If you drive past there, you will see that there's all kinds of construction going on. This is going to be a 7,000 square foot commercial kitchen. And this is going to really help out our community. We'll be making heat, meat, ready meals. We're going to have to go out looking for bulk products. That's something that we don't get very often, simply because we never had places that were able to take huge donations. Yes. So we're saying we'll be ready to receive donations of frozen or dry. Now we're actually out looking, and perishable products beginning in 2025. So if you know of any food manufacturers that are looking to be able to donate, that would be wonderful. Like I said, we're starting small. We're thinking 2,500 meals a week, but we would like to be able to ramp that up over time to, they're saying 10,000 a week. That may not happen for a few years, but we are very, very excited about this. I've been there to visit, even though it's under construction, and just seeing it now, it's going to be a wonderful addition to our community. We'll be able to reduce food waste, because instead of throwing away products, bulk products, or they can be donated to us, and donations are tax deductible. So that's the benefit to the companies. Next slide, please. So here's just a list of what types of things we're looking for. We have some guidelines when it comes to our food donations. We have to have everything within its expiration date, and it has to be stored according to food safety guidelines. And the one thing that we do run into a lot, all the ingredients must be listed on the box or the package. We cannot utilize anything that doesn't have that information on it. We're excited. All I can say is we are really excited about this, and we just want to be able to make some good meals for our community. Next slide, please. So you say, okay, I want to donate. What do I do? So all we ask is you give us a call, or you don't have to give us a call. We're here Monday through Friday from 9 to 3. You just stop in, come in the door, ring the bell, and we come out and we help you. If you need a receipt, we can write a receipt right away. If your donation would exceed 500 pounds, we can provide pickup. However, we ask that if you have a lot, you call us, give us a few days to be able to get you into our schedule for transportation. Next slide, please. So that's the end of my presentation. If you have more questions or interested in donating, or maybe say, hey, I know of a company that you should contact, you can contact me, Deb Mest. I'm the Chief Operations Officer. I also am our food sourcing person. Or you can contact Chef Amanda Richards. She's the Director of Culinary Operations. She will be running the commercial kitchen in March. So thank you very much for allowing me to be here to do this presentation. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Deb. Our next speaker is Matt Alessandroni from Unique Pretzel Bakery. Matt and I worked together on an energy assessment in 2023. Thank you, Matt.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks, Rich, for the invitation to participate in this webinar. I think we got a good variety of talents and industries covered here, so Thank you again. So I just want to go in, if you want to go through these slides, we'll talk about a little bit about the history. So Unique was started back in the 1800s, sixth generation family. Now we have the seventh, is actually one of our superintendents. So definitely family based, family owned, and family culture, which is probably the main reason why I'm there. In addition to the fact that I've been working in that facility for over 30 years, only being employed there 10. Next slide, please. So Unique was incorporated in 1921. Right now we have three of the Spanish members in our officers. The William J., our president, who is, I'll call him semi-retired, if you will. Justin, our COO, who is my boss, and his brother Bill, who is our CFO. As most of you know, we're located on Bellevue Avenue across from the farmers market. We currently have two production lines capable of producing up to 2,000 pounds of pretzels an hour, and that would be combined between the two lines. So just under 1,000 pounds an hour on both lines. Top products are splits, extra dark or burnt splits, and shells. And shells used to be our number two. Extra dark kicked them out about 2 years ago, believe it or not. So, as I said, 100% family owned. We produce all of our pretzels in-house, so we don't co-man any pretzels currently. We don't have any products made for us other than our puffles, which we released in 2023. That's a high pressure extruded expanded product, very similar to a Funyun or a cheese curl. This number of employees is off just a little bit. We're just under 100 right now. This time of year, we bring in another 20 people through the holiday season to help prepare baskets for corporate gifting and just to fulfill our online order requests for the holiday season. Next slide, please. So as I said, I've been the plant operations manager there since 2014. I oversee production, quality, maintenance, warehouse, and we don't really have an official R&D department, but that is something I'm heavily involved in with the rest of our production team. And one of my greatest inspirations is to develop people and the process. Can you make the best pretzels? So I started as a maintenance mechanic in the pretzel industry back in 1989. I moved into equipment sector with Reading Bakery Systems. I was employed there for about just under 20 years. Short stint of 5 years or so self-employment, and I joined the Unique team in 2014. Next slide, please. So some of the efforts that we've applied and our vision and how we're going to get their strategy is just to remain focused really on eliminating facility waste and upcycling food, recycling non-food items. The way we're going to do that is continue to develop and maintain relationships with our partners. Obviously, PennTAP, AmpliSource, McGovern, and Kugel's Recycling, just to name a few. Strategy is to work closely with all equipment and raw material suppliers to ensure that we're considering energy and waste improvements before, during, and after the initial purchase of equipment and/or materials. Next slide. Thank you. Here's some of our current waste and energy prevention initiatives. So we currently upcycle all the flour, salt, raw dough through AmpliSource. Our out-of-spec product, finished product, we either go to the food bank, Helping Harvest, and/or AmpliSource. And that is simply if we have, for instance, we have our next item out of date. So our customers require at least 5 months of shelf life left on the product when it leaves our dock. So in some cases, we have product that is still within useful shelf life, but it can't be sold to our distributors because the timing and the requirements for warehousing on their end. Material recycling. So we do majority of that's all through AmpliSource. So they take our corrugate, our pallets, and they destroy all of our packaging. Old packaging that is out of spec needs to be destroyed, and we need to have a certificate of destruction. And that protects Unique's interest so that packaging wouldn't get out into somebody else's hands where they could put potentially something other than our product in it, creating obviously some potential legal issues. So as far as utilities go, we've been working on replacing, all of our old halogen, metal halide, incandescent, and fluorescent fixtures with LED fixtures. When we built the new building in 2012, so we have the original building, which was obtained back in the early 80s. We added on another 75,000 square foot in 2012. We put in low flow plumbing fixtures. We recently installed a dishwasher to conserve water and save time. We had people washing, a lot of the ingredient containers, buckets, what have you, by hand. Obviously, that takes a lot of time and wastes a lot of water. So that's been a huge help for us. Opportunities for improvement. So food waste. Currently we do, it's all a manual function, transporting the dough from the mixers to the extruders. In that process, there's a lot of offall, dough that falls off the tables, hits the floor, even the piece of equipment, which has to be obviously discarded. We waste, I shouldn't say waste, we lose a lot of salt through the process. So those of you that are going to attend the tour will see exactly what I'm talking about. We currently dispose of all that or send that off to Amplisource for upcycling. There is an opportunity whereby we have catch pans in areas where we could sift and recycle that salt and potentially save, on salt usage. And then just automating, mixing system to reduce error. So we currently add, hand add the oil and the yeast into the mix manually. And if they forget the oil or they forget the yeast or they put two of one or the other, obviously that becomes waste. And by automating those processes, we can eliminate those errors or at least reduce those errors. Utilities continue to upgrade all lighting. So I think we're about 35% through that process. We started that just before our E2P2 meeting with Rich. So we have a little ways to go there yet, and I think we have some more opportunities coming up. Air compressor. So we currently have two 15 horsepower screw air compressors that run basically nonstop. So they're continuously, satisfying the line. The problem is they start and stop so frequently because they're how should I say, oversized for the two production lines. They were originally sized for the four production lines that we have room for. So by adding VFD technology, which is currently available for air compressors, you can control the speed so the motor continues to run and it's not stopping and starting, creating those, spikes of current, which obviously, show up in your electric bill every month. Another way is recoup oven exhaust heat. So we, obviously exhaust all the products of combustion and the ovens and cookers out the roof. There's some temperature that could be captured there by putting coils in and around those stacks to heat water or do other things. We currently only use a boiler in one area of the facility, so that's not really a great gain for us at this time without additional equipment. Buildings and equipment. So we recently we had an issue in one of our warehouses where we had our fulfillment team working. We had some 95-degree days. They were working in a warehouse that had an exposed metal roof. It was insulated on the inside, but was not on the outside. So we had that roof coated. It was foam insulated and sealed and coated, thus reducing the temperature in that room by 10 to 15 degrees. So it was a big help, for us and obviously for the safety and well-being of the people. And then one of the other areas could be to install and utilize economizers on the HVAC system. So the way our process runs, we're running, air conditioners even when it cools off, just because of the amount of heat we're generating, with the equipment. That heat transfers into other areas of the facility. And we need to make sure that in the dough preparation area that there's a consistent temperature and humidity, as well as in the packaging area where we have people and equipment, that require controlled environment. So the PennTAP E2P2 assessment that Rich and I and some of our folks underwent, we uncovered some potential savings. And that was simply by going around the facility and identifying, essentially every light bulb or fixture in the facility with an opportunity. And I think we came up with 885. So as I said earlier, I think we're about 35% of the way through that process. And that, obviously as give us, we haven't really been able to measure that savings, but on a calculated basis, we're confident that we are saving that money. And then we talked about a compressed air preventive air leak maintenance program. We're going to talk a little bit more about that. I think coming up here, I know Rich, you have a potential project set up with Cheney, our maintenance manager. So we really like to look into that, and certainly appreciate the savings that are available there. And then we also discussed the funding resources that are available through E2P2, and that's grants up to $6,500 towards project material cost. And there's obviously guidelines go around that. Rich can speak more to that, but I think we're encroaching upon either a change in that process based on employee headcount. So I think once you get over 100 people, things change a little bit. And I think we're talking with Rich about that now, or we'll be here very shortly. So waste savings. So before we were working with Source, which was previously Graybill, we were basically throwing away all the dough, all the pretzels, all the salt went right into the dumpster, and it went to the landfill. And as you can see, 230 tons is a pretty substantial amount. And the savings, obviously, of paying to get rid of that, we're not paying that anymore. So thank you, Source, for helping us with that. And then 15 tons of finished product donated to food banks, helping harvest. That's an approximate retail value of about $120,000. So again, those products that are donated are products that are within obviously the guidelines, regarding labeling. So they're in the proper bags, they have the proper code dates, and shelf life information on them. And then energy savings. So, like I said before, we're about 35% of the way through the lighting, and that's a calculated savings of about $8,500. So, we'll take it, and we'll put that money towards, bigger and better things. So just a couple additional recycling options. So TerraCycle, their tagline is recycle the unrecyclable. So we had a huge amount of film that we were using for a product that we discontinued. And I say huge amount, tractor trailer loads of film. And we worked with TerraCycle to get rid of that in one large lump sum. And I think that was prior to working out our arrangement with Amphisource, requiring the certificate of destruction. So Mopac, we use sunflower oil in the process. We have catch pans under our totes. They fill up. We turn them into a tote. And, once or twice a year, we'll call Mopac, and they'll come and pump that tote out for us at no charge. Safety Clean. So we use Safety Clean to discard of all non-food grade oils and lubricants. So that's stuff that comes out of the gearboxes, primarily the gearboxes from the line, and other hydraulic oils, and so happens, oils and recyclables of that type. And then Kugel's Recycling, they basically have a dumpster on site. So we, basically all the cups, bottles, home office business recycling needs, they help us with that. And then we use McGovern Environmental. So we have a neutralization system on site where we neutralize the caustic water that we use to process the pretzels in the cooking bath. The reason we do that is because we were having some challenges with putting those products directly down the drain. City of Reading wasn't happy with us, and so we decided that we were going to have that system installed, and they come generally about once a month. We have it's actually a 10,000 gallon tank. We hold about 8,500 gallons of neutralized water that they'll haul off to, I think they typically take it to Goose Creek or one of those other facilities that accept neutralized wastewater. So the requirements, I think, are between, it's got to be like 9 or 10 pH for them to be able to take that for us. So that ends my presentation. Thank you. I hope you all will join us for the tour. There's a lot more. You can see what we're talking about here, and maybe even get some free samples of pretzels.
Thank you so much, Matt. It's been really a pleasure working with your team over the last year.
Thank you, Rich. I look forward to working with you guys coming here in the near future.
Sounds great. Up next is Jason Schmitz from AmpliSource. Welcome, Jason.
Thank you. I appreciate the time and the opportunity to be here, and thank you, Matt, for the plugs. And it's really nice to work with Unique, and we're great partners with us. And I think we've got a really positive impact on the circular economic environment together. So, just put a little bit of a presentation together about how we upcycle and what we do to first partner with byproducts manufacturers, and then also, some of the things that Matt touched on it that are very important in terms of brand protection, packaging destruction, chain of custody, biosecurity, and some of the things that we kind of take very seriously in our recycling efforts. So go ahead and go to the next slide. So just the agendas, talk about who we are, what we do, and how we do it. And we'll talk a little bit about our process and how we ensure, quality as well as consistency in the finished products that we manufacture for the livestock market. Go ahead and go to the next slide. So overall, who we are. Well, we were founded in 1986. You may have heard earlier that we were previously known as Graybill Farms LLC. A gentleman by the name of Dave Graybill started the business. He was a swine farmer as well as operated a trucking and hauling business. He was looking for a cheaper way to feed his swine and also pull it together with the trucking arm of some of his business interests. And that's kind of what born the opportunity to move into a feed processing for, livestock manufacturing business. We're located in Elizabethtown, Pennsylvania, just on the outside of Hershey, with a tremendous amount of partnership around the Hershey products, as well as Mars here in Elizabethtown. And we're kind of located ideally in what I kind of call snack filled food kingdom, between Hanover to the Lehigh Valley and to Philadelphia. We have a lot of partners that we work with to bring in their food waste byproducts around snack foods primarily. We don't oftentimes lead into any spoilable foods because of what we do. And with our process, we don't have high temperature kilns, or we don't have kill steps in terms of infrared or ultraviolet lighting penetration. So we really lean into the more challenging products sometimes to process that are, stickier. We get a lot of chocolates, caramels, candies, snack foods, chips, pretzels, crackers, cookies, and oftentimes we get a lot of packaging materials along with those. We do produce a high energy livestock feed that feeds the dairy, beef, poultry, and swine. But I will tell you that dairy and beef is probably 95% of ruminant animal, kind of falls under that. Multi-stomached animals really falls under most of that footprint. We sell from Canada all down through the mid-Atlantic and Northeast United States. Essentially where the herds of dairy and beef cattle are is our finished feed processing, and we recycle and upcycle products from partners from as far away as Vermont all the way down through the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic. We are we take food manufacturing residuals, as I mentioned, foods, bakery feeds, nuts, all kinds of different snack and confectionery items. We oftentimes provide the equipment and transportation solutions so that it's the idea is that it's a seamless and headache-free process for the food manufacturers. Their core business is manufacturing of their finished products and goods, and we want to take that headache of having to manage their waste streams for these types of products and make it seamless for them. Go ahead and go to the next slide. So we have 12 receiving bays as well as a state certified scale. We bring in tractor trailer loads, sometimes 53-foot vans, sometimes bulk loads, sometimes compactors that are kind of on a switch out methodology, where we drop a fresh compactor and we take the other box back to our facility. We weigh and scale all of the products in and out of the facility. So that includes any of our recycled items, palletizing, cardboard, any film materials, anything that has been depackaged, and then goes to incineration. Then those are all scaled, and we issue generally within 24 to 48 hours of receipt of the truck. We take photographic documentation of the inbound truck. We provide the scale information, and we also provide the certificate of destruction for that packaging material, so that that food manufacturing partner knows that they don't have any liability of their product ending up in a third tier grocery store somewhere that's not supposed to be there. So we make sure that that's all under protection and security. Go ahead and go next slide. So essentially, bring the material in, and we separate it into two main streams. We call it our A streams and our B streams. So our A streams is more of the bulk material that we can put directly into a macro pile. So we separate our macros by fats, sugars, and starches. And we'll use those to build and develop our recipe of feed for the milling process. And then we have our package materials, which are oftentimes shredded and then processed through a high volume depackaging machine. This high volume depackaging machine separates the desired material on the insides, for instance, pretzels. So we'll tear the bags open with a mechanical process. Those pretzels will fall through the trommel and then come out of a conveyance system that will feed directly into one of our bulk dry components that will then add to our main feed ingredients. The trash or packaging then gets transferred into a compactor, and that compactor is taken directly to incineration, where it's converted from waste energy to electricity. And we get a green certificate of energy generation from Laxwama, who's just down the road from us. And they give us reports annually of how many kilowatt hours of electricity we had generated by diverting this material from landfill and directly into incineration. Go ahead and go to the next slide. All of our cardboard is separated, removed, baled, banded, and then taken to recycle for cardboard activities. We also separate all usable pallets and taken to a pallet recycler, who then will recycle them for a second life in another industry, or back into the food industry in terms of purchase of either recycled or new or rehabilitated pallets. I mentioned that all the collected trash is sent to the local waste energy. And then last year we sent over 3,000 tons of waste energy, generating 1,821,761 kilowatt hours of renewable energy. So again, that's material that would have otherwise found its way into landfill, and that's not good for any of us. Raw materials are, as I mentioned, are mixed based on the macro profile of them: fats, sugars, and starches. We then introduce wheat middlings, which is also a byproduct material from the flour manufacturing process. So when flour is produced, the wheat middling is the husk, if you will, on the outside of the wheat component, and it has nutritional benefit to ruminant animals and livestock. It also acts as a sweet-smelling abrasive agent that kind of keeps the mill screens from clogging. It allows it to kind of push through. We also use roasted cocoa shells for a high fiber component for the ruminant animals. Because the ruminant animals have multiple stomachs, they're able to extract amino acids and proteins from high fiber materials that otherwise would not have a use. So after the cocoa beans have been roasted in a chocolate operation, those cocoa beans are essentially a waste product. But for ruminant animals, they add a fiber component that allows them to pull those amino acids and proteins out of other food byproducts. And so we also introduce those, and it creates also an abrasive and lightweight texture and modality to the finished feed. Our finished feed is sawdust-like in consistency, with a sweet smell of chocolates and snacks, and also a high fiber, digestible dairy fiber, dietary fiber for the animals. Go to the next slide. We do grind through a redundant system of automated conveyance that is interlocked electronically to the mills. So the mill itself is grinding all of these components together from the macro piles into a consistent finished feed output. The conveyance that feeds it takes feedback from the electrical load on the grinding system, and it meters in more or less in order to keep that consistency of process through, so we can guarantee that the finished feed first is flowable at the feed mill or on farm or in the feed trough, and also allows us to know that we are maintaining a consistent output of nutrition and consistency for the product. We also check for quality control. We need to make sure that our feed won't hang up in the bins at the feed mill, that they're not going to cause the farmers challenges in terms of getting the feed from their mixed ration devices into the actual feed troughs for the animals. So we check for density, moisture, flowability, and gradation. We also, to protect against any metal contamination for the livestock, we have multiple electromagnetic conveyance lines that we actually run electromagnetic devices over the top that will remove any type of ferrous material that would come by accident from one of the food manufacturing facilities, which occasionally will happen, and we're able to catch that with redundant electromagnetic protection, and we therefore can ensure that the animals are protected from any type of sharp metal or other objects getting to them. We do loadout in a manual. Currently in a manual application, we weigh every truck in and out so that we know that the finished feed out the door that has been brought in, we know what the mix, the recipe, and the consistency are, so we know exactly how much of that material is going to the feed mill or to the on farm. We generally load out a full dump trailer of 25 or so tons in 15 to 20 minutes. And on average, we sell anywhere between 15 to 20 dump loads a day of finished feed back into the livestock market. Just in summary, we take great pride in quality and our finished product. We are very much staffed by personnel that very much care about livestock and animals. We also have a full staff of people that are very focused and concerned about the environment. And we have some pictures of some of our people on the shop floor, as well as some of the processes that you have that we handle. So if anybody has any questions, happy to answer questions. My contact information can be circulated to everybody on the call. If you have any upcycling needs, food product needs, we're happy to come in, do a site visit, add consultation on things that we can and cannot do. It is important to point out that we are compliant of all aspects of the FDA required food safety programs, as well as FSMA. And we love to partner with byproducts generation and come up with unique solutions that are beneficial to the environment, as well as treat our animals well and gives them a healthy feed as they go forward in their lives.
Thank you very much, Jason. What an amazing process.
Thanks.
Our next speaker is Aubrey Fornwell from Full Circle Bioconversion.
Hi, Rich. Yeah, thank you for the opportunity to share my story and my business here. And I promise that this will be the largest photo of insects in the entire presentation. So don't be too squeamish. So you can go to the next slide then. So a little background about me. I am not, I'm not someone who's from the insect world at all. I had a corporate job, but in 2015, decided it wasn't for me anymore. And I felt that we needed more people working on wasted food issues that we have currently in our world. So I moved back from my job out on Long Island, came to my hometown, started researching and developing what I'm doing currently back in 2015, 2016. And with a huge help from Recycling Market Center and Pennsylvania DEP, we started conversations about how to permit what I'm doing. I work with food scraps exclusively. So I don't take yard waste. I don't take anything from like trees, leaves, stuff like that. It's just food that's been wasted and food scraps. So LLC was formed in 2018. We got the permit. We did an amended permit. So we took an existing one on the books, added some different verbiage to it. So I have a small scale composting permit, and that was, I got that in 2020. And I'm just located on a small family farm in Lycoming County. And like I said, my primary reduction process here, first of its kind in Pennsylvania, is with black soldier fly larvae. And just some quick notes about them. The flies are very beautiful. They're very docile. They don't bite. They don't sting. They're considered a non-vector because they actually don't eat. So the flies live only 4 to 7 days. Because of that, the larvae are extremely voracious and they will eat just about everything. So you can go to the next slide. So real briefly, my customers are restaurants, and I have households that I stop at as well. The preferred vessel is a 5-gallon bucket because it's just easy to manage for either households or the restaurants I work with too. I try to be real accommodating with them. I know restaurants are hot, fast, busy, chaotic. I want them to not be annoyed with this new process. So I've tried to have those conversations with my customers in that respect. And some of my restaurant customers, they buy local produce from farmers. So it's a perfect story for them to say, we're table to farm and farm to table in that circle. So the buckets come in, I do a quick cursory inspection of the contents. This bucket content was not as terrible as what I have had come in, but we've had some funky ones, but that's I take anything and everything in any like fresh, rotten, moldy form at all. Like the larvae don't care. It's remarkable. So the food comes in, it does get processed. We have a grinder we use. It's a kind of industrial meat grinder. And then we take out anything that shouldn't go to the larva, plastics, produce stickers. If someone could resolve that issue, that would be phenomenal. Produce stickers are the bane of my existence, but it's just what we deal with. And then when that gets processed, it becomes a smaller size for the larvae to eat much, much quicker. And then you can see in that third picture there, I'm feeding them it's coffee grounds. So I can feed them meats, dairy, breads, all of that stuff. There's really not much I can't take. Next slide. So the products available are much more than what I would have if I was just a composting operation. Obviously, I do compost. That just has to be inherent to the system. There are obviously things that I bring in that the larvae can't eat, and it's not a 100% reduction anyway. So the manure from the larvae is called frass. I sell that as a soil amendment. The larvae themselves, I dehydrate. Those are sold for chicken snacks. They can also be further processed into like a fish meal. And then of course there's compost. You can go to the next slide. So why bugs? I get that question is the number one question I get all the time. And it's a weird venture in the four seasons of Pennsylvania, and it has its challenges, but I promise it makes sense. So where I'm located, West Branch of the Susquehanna River, we have everything is on a hill. So if it's a flat area, it's most likely a floodplain. So automatically my permit would not allow that at all. So I have to get a little creative. What you see in that little inset photo is where everything is housed inside for the insects. I do have compost pads adjacent, so that would they're on the right-hand side of that picture, not pictured. But it is extremely modest. So I have two 12 foot by 12 foot rooms, and then two 12 foot by 12 foot compost pads. One of those is forced air, so I don't have to turn that pile. A benefit to this, I can do vertical growing. If I can get anything on shelves or on wheels, I'll do it. Without a doubt, I'll get it done. And because I'm not doing long expansive windrows, I don't need to require, like I don't need to acquire the huge amounts of wood chips that are necessary for composting food scraps. I would need a phenomenal amount, and I just don't have that space. So there is some specialized equipment that I need for this, like the meat grinder for one thing, and also sifters and screeners, but I don't need to run like heavy machinery. I don't have to worry about storing that machinery. I don't have to worry about those types of maintenance issues either. So then the efficiency of the larva breaking down the food is pretty phenomenal. Right now, I take in about 800 to 1,000 pounds of food a week, which it might not sound like a lot, but all of this is going through insects. So that weight is diminished by 50 to 80%. And I've checked this, and it is 100% true. It's amazing and phenomenal. So doing this in the winter time is challenging. However, last year I actually didn't have to run heat at all, like no supplemental heat. So this system actually generates its own heat, which I've been able to capitalize on. And something I think is a very understated benefit here. The amount of water we lose to the landfill via that food waste situation can really be circumvented if we take that food, recognize it as a resource, treat it accordingly, and then you don't have to worry about leachate ponds. You don't have to worry about mechanical treatment, chemical treatment. It all enters the environment naturally and much more efficiently. So products that I have available all the time. So the dried larva, I can essentially do that anytime. The frass, there is a little bit of lag time on that because it does have to dry out before sale, but it basically year round I can have it. And then if I was doing compost, that's like a 9-month to 12-month wait time for that. And then poultry and fish, they're just healthier when they're fed the things that they were intended to eat. So if you feed them insects, they will be healthier and just better off. So next slide. So this is a really exciting development. Next year, I began a 3-year research study with University of Delaware. So we're studying the effects of black soldier fly larva frass on flax crops. And this will be flax specifically for fiber. So a huge benefit to this. I can actually back up what I say anecdotally because I know this stuff works really well in gardens. And now we can have like demonstrable proof that this is working and this will be beneficial for more and more farms. Next slide. So there's my that was kind of like my brief roundup of what I do every day. I handle insects, as you can see there. So and it's all just to feed our future selves. So thanks.
Thank you, Aubrey. I'd now like to introduce our final speaker, PennTAP's Krista Schneider.
Thanks, Rich. I'm going to go through my slides very quickly because I know we're at the end of the presentation. So I just want to try to pull everything into perspective and next steps for anybody, any industries, any businesses, any manufacturers, other companies that are thinking about being part of the food recycling chain, and put it in perspective. So the EPA, just very quickly, the EPA is really creating a lot of tools for companies to think about how to become more energy efficient in their food waste reduction strategy. They're trying to move the needle from the right side, which is more energy intensive, sending things down the drain, anaerobic digestion, etc., moving it towards prevention, donation, upcycling, and that sort of thing. So how do you go about doing that? Next slide, please. Is to really, follow a process. And the first step of that process, I'll go through this in just a couple more slides. First thing you're going to need is a baseline, understand where you're at. From there, you determine your goals. And then, of course, from there, identify your partners and design your new waste flows. So next slide, please. As far as tools that are available, if you want to do a DIY approach, maybe just to first figure out what are you throwing out and why. You could just do a simple food waste audit, pick a day, pick a couple days, pick a week, really monitor what's being thrown out, quantifying it and the reasons why. Next slide. Determining goals and opportunities, that could be anything from, very simple, reduction strategies for, how much you want to save on any given, month, say, starting out small, maybe annual targets. You could do it informally, you could do it formally through, trying to get ISO certification, and really tying that in with an energy strategy. Next slide, please. As far as, once you know what you have that's going into your waste stream, you determine what your quantities are, say that your targets are for reduction, and what you identify as being able to be reused or diverted. You're going to want to redesign your waste flows and select those partners, whether they're, companies like Amplisource, companies like, for the green waste composting, or your food banks. You're going to want to, not everything's going to go into the same flow. So you could also identify opportunities for upcycling into new products. And so that's designing your waste flow. Next slide. So when you're looking for partners, obviously, your own business. You probably, know the businesses around you. But when you're thinking about expanding into new waste streams or waste flows, you may not have an idea. Well, who could take this food? Who could take the food that could be donated? Who could take the who's going to refrigerate my waste, if I need to transport it and hold it for a few days. The EPA has a excess food opportunity map. And these links are going to be in the slides that'll be sent out. It shows all the food banks, in this case in Pennsylvania, but it's national. They have identified anaerobic digesting facilities, composting facilities, food banks, etc. So that's a great place to start. It's certainly not fully comprehensive, but it's a great place to start. Next slide, please. And if you want to just, like back of the napkin idea of what your savings might be by choosing different, alternative waste strategies, there's also another tool called WARM, Waste Reduction Modeling. The EPA has that as well. You choose, what your waste material is, determine maybe the quantities of the different types of waste that you have. You pick different waste streams and plug it into this model, and it'll tell you approximately not only how much metric tons of greenhouse gas you might be saving, but also even perhaps the cost benefits there. Next slide. So just last slide, wrapping things up very quickly. I wanted to mention what Penn State can be for you as a partner. We not only provide the energy assessment services, we could help with that baseline waste audit that you have. We have students that are wanting and willing and able to participate in capstone projects. We have research partnerships for companies that, whether you're a manufacturer or you're an upcycler, food science, faculty and students. We have, mechanical engineers, all sorts of research opportunities and partnerships in that respect. We also work with our industrial resource centers. If you're looking at continuous improvement opportunities, we could help you with put you in touch with them. We have wonderful resources available through Invent Penn State. If you're looking to upcycle, say, even create a new product or spin off a new company, we can help with that. So grants and funding to help implement, you're going to want your baseline and your information that you need for quantifying your savings. We can help with that. So anyway, one stop, I would say maybe a good place to start would be our office, and either Rich or I would be, very happy to speak with anyone needing more information in this regard. I think that's it.
Thanks, Krista, and all the presenters for all the valuable information presented today. I also want to thank the United States EPA for making this webinar possible. For our Q&A session, we have one question in the Q&A section, and it says, it's a question from Matt, and it asks if the packaging destruction methods include recycling.
So the answer to your question for us currently is no. The reason for that is that the material makeup of our packaging has both metal and plastic components. And that the metallic portion of that simply is to create a better barrier for shelf life extension. So we have looked into totally recyclable packaging. It's more of a paper-based product line. It doesn't provide the same product protection attributes. And because of the salt on the pretzels, it has a tendency to tear the bags. So yes, we have looked into that. No, we are not currently able to recycle any of that. So the film that gets destroyed is incinerated. And then of course they send us a certificate saying so.
Thank you, Matt. Another question came up. It's, have any of you done any quantifications on the environmental impact, like emissions prevented for landfill diversion of waste?
I could probably answer that a little bit, Rich. So we're in the beginning stages of looking at carbon credit offsets for diversion from landfill, and we're very early in the process right now. But there seems to be some promise there that there could be not only our waste to energy, incineration to energy, as well as our bulk packaging recycling opportunities. We are in the beginning stages of partnering with some consultants, and maybe PennTAP's a good place to dig in here as well, but looking at carbon offset opportunities.
Great. Okay, I want to thank everyone very much for attending today's webinar. If there's more information that you would need, feel free to reach out. We'd enjoy talking with you. My contact information is on this slide. I hope you have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.